I'm going to pass it over to Emma to give us some thoughts about coaching the United States at Wembley, 80,000 tickets sold, and being back home here in Camden.
Well, first of all, Hyfe, I can honestly say you've given me a really memorable day, and it means a lot that how thoughtful you were. Not just, people don't know this, he not only followed up on just a handful of pubs that I told him to visit, but he literally came here last month. He went to every pub. I think you sampled a pint in all of them, right? And I think once you realised, you said to me, listen, well, let's hold a press conference upstairs, and you sent me a video of the area, and I said, I'm not really sure that's going to fit everybody in there, Hyfe. Maybe go downstairs to the underworld, where my best friend is in here. And I remember many an evening we would come in here, and thankfully it still smells of fart and feet. And it was a big indie place for me back in the day, and I definitely have not seen this place in the daylight, so that's refreshing. But I'm such a Camden girl, and I'm so happy to be back in Camden. You'll probably see that, the smile that's on my face. This is my home, and I'm very much looking forward to an amazing week with my team at Tottenham Hotspur and to coach at the iconic Wembley Stadium at the weekend. Pretty good week for me.
All right, questions from the media. And at the end, if there's some FOEs, as I call them, friends of Emma, if you have some questions, we'll take them. But first to the media, we have mics on either side. Please raise your hand, and we'll go right up front here.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing, Moose?
You have coached at Wembley many times before, but this is a bit different, isn't it, against players that you know and against your home nation?
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying it's a different type of game playing at Wembley. I've had to think through how I'm going to be standing there as a complete, an away team coach, because it will be full of, English people supporting the home team. But I don't put too much thought into the feel and the atmosphere of a place that honestly feels like a second home to me. I know going back to Wembley, yes, I'll have to go in the away dressing room, but I get to experience another opportunity between the Olympic champions and the current European champions in a game where there's top quality on show for both sides. Two managers who get on tremendously well. I'm looking forward to seeing Serena. She's a top person and a top coach. And yes, of course, I have to go through a weird moment when the national anthem's playing, but something I will hum along to, as I always have done, being the English person that I am. But I'll also do the same for the American national anthem, because I love both anthems. And I'm beyond that weird moment and seeing some of the competitors I've come up against or players that I've gone to war with. It's business come kick off, and it'll be I hope a top game, an entertaining game in front of a sellout.
One of those is Minnie Bright.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her yesterday actually about how weird it would be to look at the sidelines and see you, but know that you're not wanting her to win, you're wanting her to lose. Is it going to be the same for you, looking on the pitch and seeing some players in the past, as you say, you've gone to war with, you stuck your life on, who now you actually want to get the better of?
Before she answers, please pass that to Asif next. Yeah, go ahead, Emma.
I love him. I think, Millie Bright is a special person in my life, and she feels like a little sister to me. She really does. I've had so many years of journeying through building Chelsea to winning titles to watching her go through her own, international career of England and the highs of winning a European Championship and losing a World Cup final. So she's someone that will be in my life beyond this football match. And most importantly, I'm just looking forward to seeing her and giving her a big squeeze. she knows me as well as I know her, and we're fierce competitors, and we're in the position we're in because of the qualities that we have, and our focus will be on doing the best for our respective teams. And yes, it will feel weird not to shout at Millie in the middle of the game for a moment, but I'll have to get past that, and I'll have to create a situation with another player. And of course it will be equally, great to see a young Aggie Beaver-Jones come through, a player that we developed at Chelsea, and I think she's an unbelievable player. You see with her goal record already this season, I'd be delighted to see her. There'll be no Lauren James, no Niamh Charles. I'll get to see Hannah Hampton. My son thinks he's a goalkeeper like Hannah, and they had a bit of a tight bond, so hoping we put a couple past her just to wind her up afterwards. But I'm just looking forward to the game and to bringing my team to Wembley. And like I said, I work every day so that I can build women's sport and women's football. 80,000 plus. I'm sure a lot of people around the world will be watching the game. 2 top teams under the lights at Wembley. Women's football don't sell, does it, Moose? So to be in a position for me to be coming back, Olympic champions, European champions, I hope it's a night to remember.
Asif, please ID yourself and your name and
Asif Burhan for Forbes. Hi, welcome back.
Hey, how are you?
First of all, the important question is whether Kat Macario and Mia Fisher have accepted your invitation to join them for Thanksgiving dinner, and will you be having that at the Spurs training ground or somewhere else?
Yeah, they did accept it until they found out I was cooking. And then they realised, what does Emma know about American Thanksgiving food? And Hyfe will tell you he's impressed with my knowledge of American Thanksgiving meal. And of course, I've communicated with our chefs and our nutritionists about the type of meal we want on match day -2. So on the Wednesday, everybody will be at the lodge, staff and players, to show gratitude and enjoy the biggest American holiday, and one that I've missed for several years because of being in the UK. And I have some American friends over that are going to be staying at my house on our day off on the Thursday, and they said they're going to cook another meal at my house, so I might get 2 Thanksgiving meals. Harry will get one on the Thursday, and I'll pop home for that. So they're coming. I look forward to seeing them. I haven't seen them in a while, and so glad to see they're both back on the pitch playing. Mia's not far off, so it's exciting for them.
what else? Right up here, Neil.
Hi, Susie from The Guardian. Hey, Emma. Hey,
Hey,
Aaron.
Susie.
Hope you're both well. Obviously, you're still relatively new in the job.
Yeah.
How much did the Olympics accelerate sort of where you want the team to be and your sort of long-term goal for the growth of it?
Like you said, I'm fresh out of a packet. I think coaching in international football is so different because you have these large chunks of time in between camps where I used to think, what are they doing, international coaches? There's only so many games you can scout and watch. But what I've realised is that I'm a builder. And when I think back to building anything from my 10 years when I was in the US to building Chelsea, I really enjoy putting an infrastructure together so that when I leave, it still stays solid. I always say this, that's why I credit my mum for developing my self-esteem as a child, because I think even if my self-confidence might go up and down, my self-esteem base is always pretty solid. So when it comes to being on Zoom calls and developing the 27-28 women's national team, youth national team strategy, I get to use my brain in a different way, and I get to use all that experience and knowledge that I've developed over a long period of time to put into good use for future generations of Americans. Couple that with the donation by Michelle Kang means that I can put in place the youth development program that I think we need to in order to close the gap at the youth levels and produce more players for the senior level. Plus, most importantly, build a strategy that's centred around a female lens. That's where my big passion has always been, and I hope to develop within a federation a framework so that everything from commercial to marketing to comms to performance to technical to analysis, see everything through a female lens. Spent too much time frustrated, I think, about why we don't have the knowledge around female physiology, because we only invest 5% of that around women, to let's put a commercial strategy together that the women want to partner with, and these are partners that are fitting with us as women, to what type of environment we want to create in and around the female 360 and that health and physiological approach. You know this, I'm very passionate about it, and I feel like I've got the space now to really build that out. And once we move to the National Training Centre in Atlanta, hopefully partner up with universities to develop education courses, the degree level around coaching females, coaching women. My passion is, I've realised even more so being away from the day-to-day, that this is where my strengths lie, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And my time has been busy on Zoom. I definitely know how to use that, and even a couple of days ago I learned there's an AI component to it that can type out all the meetings so I don't have to do that, which is fantastic because I don't do that. So yeah, I feel alive, I feel fresh, and even though I'm at the beginning, I feel very, I'm very invested in what I'm doing.
And then you mentioned the youth structures and investment in that. Can you give us a little bit of insight into the player pool when you sort of arrive in the States and the depth of it? Because obviously we know that when Serena came into England, you know, she was talking about a pool of sort of 30-ish players to pick from. What's it like? Because we talk a lot about the depth of the college system and the NWSL strengths and things like that. But what is the reality for you when you move in terms of players at your disposal?
I remember when Japan won the World Cup. What year was that, Hyfe?
That would have been 2011.
Thank you. There were more registered female soccer players in California than there were the whole of Japan. So just give that context. You can fit England into New York State 4 times. So every state I go to, I count how many times you can fit the UK in it. It's a population of about 380 million, but it's huge, and it's Europe and beyond. That's how it feels to me. So you have a thriving football ecosystem that consists of what they do at the grassroots level, and then upwards to college, to different pro leagues, to lots of other things in and around that. Unifying that under a women's football development strategy is probably the one thing that's absent, and that's probably going to be the biggest piece of what I could leave behind, is pulling all of that together, not just to understand it. I'm not here to change it. America is an amazing place that provides opportunities for girls and women that lead the way, and I realise that every day that I spend out there. But I think I say it to my son all the time, how do you eat an elephant? One chunk at a time. So to master a country like America, we have to develop a coherent strategy that's achievable for us, starting with what we do at the national team level. And the fact of the matter is that in the US, youth national team camps at all ages, we do a lot less than England, Spain, Germany. We don't even have an under-23 team. So we have to close that gap of providing more playing opportunities for our players outside of that domestic situation. On top of that, we need to develop not only more female coaches, ideally my successor, and ideally my successor's American, but to do that, I feel this is global. This is not about the US. Go and ask how many pro-licensed places there are in the UK for women. Probably 2 per 20. Like, is it okay, really? Like, that's the reality. We need to create equity, equality of opportunity. This for me is something I want to be so intentional about, so that there are more and more opportunities, not just for females to go into coaching, but to do what you do, or to do what he does, do what the guys behind the camera do, to enter our profession, but do it with a way that ultimately we can share what that female lens looks like and what the women's game looks like, and something that I still think we are nowhere near yet globally.
Hi, Emma, Kit Shepherd from The Times.
Hey.
We know that the game on Saturday isn't necessarily like the be-all and end-all for your team on your journey to the 2020.
You've clearly never played for me then, have you?
Well, after that caveat, I was going to ask, like, for you as someone that's kind of coming home back to England, just like, what would it mean for you as an individual to come to the backyard of English football and win?
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and say to you it doesn't matter, but we all know, like, I'm a competitor, and I want to win football matches, and I represent a dressing room that likes winning too. So, of course, we're coming to win at the weekend. But it's not like my overarching goal. I want to win the World Cup. I want to qualify for the World Cup. I want to win the World Cup. So to do that, what I've realised, when you have something about 30 sessions every year at international level, and then how many games do we have every year, Hive?
18 to 22.
Very limited opportunities. So you get caught in a, like, the rock and hard place at international level is, in order, with such limited games, you got to stick with the same group because they've got to develop the playing style. I know, but you don't develop opportunities. And what I realised when I took this job is that we had a lot of players that had less than 25 caps, which there was a gap of, like, those above 100 and then those that were like 2, 3, 4. And I was like, we have to develop a broader pool. So when you develop strategies to win, you can't just always zoom in on, of course, I want to put out a team that, I'm not going to put out a completely experimental team. There have to be connections and relationships there, but I also want to give opportunities. So getting that balance in these two games is critical, because there is going to come a moment I want a player who's got 1 or 2 caps to experience what it's like to play in front of 80,000 people, and it feels a bit hostile and a little bit cold, and you're not really sure because you get a bit roughed up in the game, who you are. I want to see who some of our players are in that. But sometimes you do that at the expense of maybe putting someone there you really know what they can do in that arena again and again. So I will stick with my long-term goals. That dominates my thinking. And yeah, go to the bench when I need to.
And can I just ask one slightly different one? Like, we are all aware of the result in the US election this month, and we're also aware that the US women's national team became a bit of an anti-Donald Trump symbol the last time he was in power. So how have you and your team processed the fact that he will soon be back in power?
I haven't seen my team yet, so I can't answer to that about, what that conversation will be. I answered this in my last press conference. I have a group that maybe they've established relationships and they have those conversations between themselves, but I haven't sat with them during any of the meal times to discuss politics, not for any other reason that they're busy doing other things. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit at the table with their head coach and talk about that stuff necessarily. Maybe they might do, but we just haven't. So will it come up? It might do, but we've got Tottenham Lodge to enjoy, and we've got Wembley to look forward to. I've booked Cluedo for us to do tomorrow evening for 2.5 hours, so that will be busy for some portion of it. Then obviously analysis and Thanksgiving. I think we've got quite a bit to do, so we might not get to the elections, and if we don't, I'm all right with that too.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Harper
Hey,
from
Charlotte.
The Athletic. Good to see you. We're in the underworld.
Yeah.
with your friends and family and the media. It's quite a
Yeah, be
unique,
careful, Charlotte. There's a lot of our people here.
a unique situation talking from your team selection to politics. How does this feel for you?
Brilliant. Like, look, I've always been very candid with you guys. You know that. I'm very grateful for everything that my country and my city has given me, and I've learned more and more as I age that you have to go for it in life, and you have to enjoy life, not be sort of worrying all the time. So my morning, getting in a car, driving past my school, Parliament Hill, to come here to see a welcome back Emma sign outside the Underworld, a place which, of course, I'd never remember coming out of here at 2 or 3 in the morning, to seeing my friends and family, and these are people that have been in my life since I was a kid, to people that are developing sports in the area, from Camden Sports Development, that are running projects across the borough, whether it's developing education for people, to running the youth league up at Regent's Park. My community is what I am and what I care about, and I'm so stoked to be here with people that have been massive in my life. My friends have never changed, and I'm grateful for that. And if you say otherwise, there'll be about 50 of them lining up at the door for you. So I'm kidding. Just happy.
Getting heckled as well.
Thanks, Bex. No, just happy to see some faces I haven't seen. I'm happy to be home.
You spoke about that rhythm and the kind of change between club and international management. How are you finding that rhythm? How are you finding the work-life balance? Is there anything you're not enjoying? You seem very happy.
I didn't know what to expect. I was a little bit afraid of how's this rhythm going to affect me. I'm so used to getting in the car, driving to the training ground. I worried that it's not 12 years, probably 25 years of doing that 6-7 days a week. I worried about that for about 4 seconds. And then I said, okay, what's the benefits? I get to get up and breathe, not rush. I get to take Harry to school. I get to go to the gym. I get to create my schedule in and around those things. Don't sacrifice the things that make me feel healthy. I definitely didn't feel healthy at the end. I actually felt quite unwell at the end of my time at Chelsea. I just felt like, so I'm not going to say it's pressure. I just think it's just the stress, the toll it took on me. I just feel like and menopause, and doing that during menopause, I realised was even harder. So to get on top of all of them things, I feel like I've got my mojo back and my smile back and joy back, that I didn't realise how much I'd lost in that. And to do that means that, like, I'm loving football more than ever, and I'm clear about all the things that I want to do. And as I said, I'll do it so that I preempt it. I'm not going to answer any questions on men's football, not because I don't expect you to ask me them. I'm used to you asking them, but because I know exactly where I am and what I want to do with my life, and that's in the women's game, and that's with developing everything in and around that. And that clarity's really, really helped me to shine a light even internally in our own federation of things we need to do. And I'm just enjoying and thriving in a different way, and I think the change of routine has been really, really helpful, as well as seeing America and the way the people have received me, not just the players but the fans. It's been really amazing.
And in fact, she took Harry to school this morning.
Yeah.
So there you go. Go ahead.
Hi, Emma. Sandra
Hey,
Broby, Sun Sport. I was just going to ask, going back to some of what you were talking about in terms of what you hope your players will get from being here and being in that hostile environment of, playing at Wembley. What do you hope the younger or newer players within the USA women's team will take from that experience of playing the Lionesses and, just being in that environment?
I was talking with my executive coach yesterday about this, that there's this spectrum around performance that I know that I myself am a person that have to be at my stretch point to perform. And if I'm at my stretch point, that's where, so I always feel the bigger games, that's great for me. For some people, it's comfort that does that for them. Some people need to be in a completely comfort state. So I have to factor in that, I don't know, a Rose Lavelle who has more than 100 caps versus an Alyssa Thompson or an Emma Sears or an Ali Sentner who've just come into our group, have very limited caps. I don't know what their point is. So internally all week, I have to create situations where they understand the to perform under pressure. Everybody's tipping point is different, and I have to understand that. And I've actually got we've come up with a series of things this week to test people's ability to perform under pressure, off the pitch as well as on it, to see with a quick amount of time or with this a stress response stimulus, can we create situations to see who they are under that? And of course I won't know what they will be like until some of them go out and perform, but I know that you have to teach that in people. You have to create situations, an overload of situations for people to be in a position to be able to handle that. And some will do it, more naturally than others. But that's what my job is as a coach, to not just identify it, but to arm them with the tools and the skills to be able to do that. Now, granted, calling 3 names out, in a team meeting and tell them they've got to do an X Factor performance, in 1 minute's time is one thing, but walking out and seeing 80,000 plus people is another if the highest level you've played at was in front of 10,000 or it was a college level. So you know what I mean? But you almost have to do it. They've got to be in that arena to see who they are in that. And that's what I'm actually looking forward to seeing, which ones of our players thrive under that and which ones need more support.
And just one quick one, just what you said about the female coaches and wanting to widen the pool. Yeah. How do you hope to use your role as US Women's team boss to, do that to make that more a reality? Yeah.
I think one of the things that's probably going on in my mind is around the coach education piece is, first of all, how do we get more coaches through more senior level coaching courses where, quite frankly, there's an allocation of usually 2 out of 20 places available. No, it's not good enough. We have to provide more opportunities globally. 1, 2, start thinking about, how we think about so much of the workplace. And if you look at top businesses that want to retain women in the workplace, they'll come up with creative ways to do that. It might be job shares, or it might be, in football sense, co-coaching, which happens in the US too, particularly in the college game. And if we value women and we want to keep women in the workplace, we have to be creative, because raising children is it's the hardest job in the world, and your children need you too. So, but you're entitled to be able to do that and have a job in football. So I think we have to think through a female lens. That's at the heart of everything. Think through a female lens firstly on a physiological level, but what do women need? What do women need to be able to do their jobs, instead of everything's through a male lens? Everything we've created, the systems, the frameworks, what we base the methodology on, everything is done through a male lens, and that is my goal. I seek to challenge that.
Please.
I'm Mike Walters, Daily Mirror.
Hello.
When you were young and carefree and
Still am. Thank you.
And perhaps pointing at the ceiling here on a night out, did you ever seriously dream that you would wear an Olympic gold medal round your neck? Did you ever dream of leading out a national side in front of 80,000 fans at Wembley in the women's game? Did you ever seriously think you'd win 5 titles in a row?
Here's the true test of that question. For everybody that knows me in this room, put your hand up if you thought that would have been the case for me, and then look around the room. So many people say they saw that for me, but maybe you're right. I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen. I knew it was what I wanted, and I knew the sacrifices I made in my life to get to where I am. I know how many weddings I've missed, how many birthday parties I've missed, how many holidays I've missed. I know how many nights out I missed. My friends will tell you that, my family will tell you that, sat in the room. Emma always put football first. And sometimes I'm not always proud of that. And it was lonely, many times. It was really lonely because I had a dream for the game, not for myself. I had a dream for women's football that I've been able to live. And I'm just so grateful that I was pushed by my parents and my family to be able to do that. And without them supporting me to help with Harry and everything like that, I definitely wouldn't have done it. But I haven't finished either. There's more I want to achieve in the game, and I want to make sure I give everything I've got, because this is one of my purposes to being on this planet, and I intend to fulfill it with the force that I know I can be.
Hi, I'm Catherine from.
Hey, Catherine.
You've touched on it a little bit there. You always said you're still the kid from Camden.
Yeah.
I wondered how important that upbringing was in terms of making you the person you are today and the manager you are today.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't say this in a press conference, but one of my friends used to live up in Delancey Street, and she lived in a big posh house. It was a nice 5-story. It was lovely. It was gorgeous. And I used to go up there and maybe pretend a little bit about, maybe this will be a life for me one day. And I used to go home and I'd come home with a little posh accent, and my mum would say, "Your still stinks." I'm from a home where you had to keep your feet on the ground and be being humble and hardworking. I cherish those things. I grew up in a household of Dad putting money on the table at the end of the week if you'd earned any money. If you didn't, then we'd have to figure it out that week. I don't take anything for granted. I earned everything. Wasn't gifted. I'm not from a privileged background. I know Susie can relate to a lot of these things, I'm talking about as an inner city London kid. As I've said, I think Camden's the greatest place on earth for not just, as I said, the multicultural, diverse, eclectic place that it is, but the opportunities it gave me. It's not like I just went Olympic gold medal. I worked for Camden Sports Development. I worked for Camden Play Centres, for our kids in the community. I care about people and community, and yes, without question, it shaped me, and you only realise that as you age. And something that I promise you, I'm no different to the way I was at 15. I'm exactly the same person.
In the back there, Neil.
Bit of a long way, sorry. Hello, Emma, nice to meet you. Megan from 90 Min. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about Lily Johannes. Obviously, it'd be her first time named in the squad since you sort of decided to represent the US. What did that feel like for you, her making that decision? And obviously, she's also an extremely young player. You've had experience with that at Chelsea. How important is that to foster her at that young age as a manager?
Yeah, the first thing with that was that I believe people should arrive to the point they need to when they're ready. And you're correct in that she's a young person who has, yes, born in the US, but playing her football in the Netherlands. But I think about the number of players I've recruited to play football from my college coaching days to being at Chelsea. And I felt like I knew what that process was like, and you have to play a long game with those things, and nobody wants someone who is putting them under pressure. I feel the opposite. I think it was best to take that off of her and let her decide when she was ready. I think our success at the Olympics might have helped with that decision, plus the camp she was in. I think she really enjoyed that. But the real work for that now really begins, because the expectations start to grow on such a young talent, and she is young, and there's still a lot of areas for her to grow and develop physically. So we have to nurture her without the expectation that we always place. But as you quite rightly said, I'm used to developing players from a young age, and one that I'm really, really looking forward to.
Last one's right here. Our friends from Sky and BBC, or just Sky.
Emma, thank you for justifying our decision not to take this press conference live today. You'd got me in a lot of trouble.
Great.
Look, I suppose that you were talking about equity and equality you want to see within the game, but obviously we saw more hate within the game from when Chris Mewis and Sam Kerr posted their exciting news on social media. Just how disappointing is you as that, is still seeing that sort of week in, week out, and how vulnerable are the players, I suppose, when they try and do something joyful, they're still receiving this kind of reception?
I mean, first of all, Sam will be an amazing mum. I know that. She will be amazing. She's got great patience and perseverance and a character and a personality that she will roll with the criticism or the hate speech that's being spouted all over the place. But she's a human being, and it's not nice. At the end of the day, it's a massive announcement for her and Christy, and one where the vast majority of people are supportive and behind them. But you can't change everything, and of course it's disappointing. But what I've realised more and more is put your energy into the things that really matter, to the people that really matter, and try not to give too much credence or energy to the negative things and naysayers that want to disrupt or take away. And I'm pretty certain Sam is not only well equipped to be able to move forward, but she's got bigger things to focus on. She's got to get back playing for Chelsea, which I know she'll be excited to do. And two, she better get ready, because she ain't going to get any days out and nights out when she becomes a mum. And that was the first thing I'd text her. So good luck to them, and very, very happy for them and very proud of her.
Last one goes to Joe here, who came over to New York when we unveiled Emma in May. So thank you for doing that.
This is just as glamorous as New York City, I have to say. I asked this question fully in mind that there's a very important game at the weekend. But with the players being in London, will there be a team excursion out to see any attractions? And if not, what would you recommend to them? What is the Emma Hayes guide to London?
Well, so a couple of them arrived early yesterday, and they went to the Borough Market. So I thought that was a decent choice. But I'm a North Londoner, so I'm always going to encourage you come north first. We will not be doing any excursions, though I know a few of them, if they could have got me to Harry Potter World. There might be a few of them that actually do go on their day out. I don't know, but I don't think they will do, because it's been a long season. Listen, all the most important places. Camden, has the top list, of course it does. Then Camden Market. Then Kentish Town. Coles Yard at the King's Cross is pretty decent. And if you want to go and see the palace, that's one thing to see. But I always think somewhere down the embankment's always a lovely walk, and probably Covent Garden to round it off. I'm not really a Shoreditch person, and Notting Hill's too far for us North Londoners and too far from them from the lodge. So just stick north. That's what I'll tell them.